practice 5 of preseason camp for the Colorado Buffaloes, media availability number 3. Good slate of interviews today.
Yeah, Pat Shurmur was pretty good, the offensive coordinator, and then we got 2 running backs, Dallin Hayden and the starter Charlie Offord, who were both pretty good, and so it was nice to for us to get our first opportunity to talk to Dallin Hayden, the transfer from Ohio State, and then Charlie, really the first time we've talked to him since he's been. I don't know about anointed, but like where Coach Prime has said, hey, this is the guy, and everybody's got to beat him out. So it's good to hear from both those guys.
I'm glad that I didn't cover Pat Shurmur with the Denver Broncos because I kind of go into this more of a blank slate. And I heard some stories of how he was not well liked down there in Dove Valley, but he's been fantastic every time he's met with the media here. I did ask him if he felt like those 4 games calling plays at the college level kind of springboarded him into the offseason. He kind of said no, that was not his offense, and that he needed to be able to implement that over the course of an offseason. Did you have any other big takeaways from his meeting with us?
Well, really, I was chatting with somebody today who covered the Broncos during that time, and he was saying the same thing. I'm like, yeah, he wasn't really well liked down there. He was just kind of sour, and I'm like, he hasn't been like that with us at all. He's been good with us, and I've actually enjoyed our interactions with Pat Shurmur. And today he was really good again. And the other takeaway, he said it before, but he reiterated today that being around these guys is rejuvenated me, and I feel 20 years younger. And I think sometimes we didn't have time to really get into this with him, but he was in the NFL for so long. And I think sometimes that change can really just spark somebody, no matter what it is in life, but just doing something different. And maybe you're in that NFL mindset all these years, and it's maybe you hear about the NFL game is so much the same, and there's not a whole lot of variation from team to team, things like that, and you kind of get in that mindset, and there's contracts, all that stuff, and so maybe just that reset has been really big for him, and I've enjoyed the interactions with him, and I'm excited to see what he does with this offense. I'm the same way as that. I don't look at what he did with the Broncos and judge him how he's going to do here. I want to see what he does with this group and with Shedeur Sanders, because I don't think he's ever had anybody relative to the level he was at as good as Shedeur Sanders as his quarterback.
Yeah, to your point, you can see genuine joy on his face when he deals with us. It does seem like, as he said, and you said, that it's rejuvenated him here at the University of Colorado. I'm anxious to see what his offense looks like this fall. I like that there's more of a plan going into every play as opposed to variations, because I think that Shedeur Sanders does better in kind of that pro mentality. But with Shurmur, going back to his NFL days, when he had a quarterback, he was a pretty good coach.
Right.
And when you don't have a good quarterback in the NFL, you don't look like a very good coach. And that's kind of what it comes down to. But I think that fans in the NFL need kind of a lightning rod when they don't have the quarterback to kind of attack, right?
Right. And he's really not different from other coaches, right? And I don't want to open up a huge debate here, but look at Bill Belichick with Tom Brady, without Tom Brady, Mike Shanahan with John Elway, without John Elway, having that quarterback really helps. And and Pat Shurmur, he's had good quarterbacks at his time in the NFL, and he looked good. He was offensive coordinator, or I think assistant coach of the year in the NFL one year with the Vikings, and so he's had success. It's just the Broncos years, it was rough all around. It wasn't just Pat Shurmur. I mean, they didn't have good quarterbacking. Vic Fangio was the head coach, and people wanted to get rid of him, right? And so it wasn't a great situation overall for the Broncos. And so I think that this is a better situation for Pat Shurmur, and I'm excited to see what he does with Shedeur Sanders. And he did talk about, hey, we need to run the football. And it sounds like, Sean Lewis liked to run the football too. But, I think that, Pat Shurmur, that's going to be a big part of his offense, is you've got to run the football.
But I think the difference there is that Sean Lewis put it on the quarterback to identify when to run the football. Yeah. And because those looks were not there, because other teams were like sharks smelling blood in the water, knowing that the interior of that O-line, flat out sucked, at times last year, that they were going to come. And so there weren't those opportunities. This year, it's going to be more straightforward in terms of the running game. Also had a chance to talk to Dallin Hayden and Charlie Offord, like you mentioned. Yeah. Dallin Hayden was pretty honest that last year was pretty disappointing for him at Ohio State, ready to get back to that freshman form when he put up over 500 yards with the Buckeyes.
Yeah, when you're a freshman at Ohio State, you can get on the field and put up 500 yards. That tells people, hey, this kid's going to be pretty good. This is going to be a star of the future. So to see him now 2 years later at Colorado and not at Ohio State, it's like, okay, what happened there? And last year, wound up, I think, rushing for about 100 yards and redshirting. It is a fresh start for him, and so I'm excited to see him. I think people are excited because there's tangible evidence of what he can do, right? You can go find Dallin Hayden, highlights, at Ohio State, and you can't find that of a whole lot of other guys here because, Isaiah Augustave got a couple of games last year at Arkansas. Charlie Offord, all we know, has run a little bit in the past, but then you got two true freshmen that obviously all you have is high school tape to go off of. So Dallin Hayden's the most experienced guy out here. I'm excited about him, and he's a shorter back, but not small, and I think he's got some good thickness to him. I like the way when he stood in front of us, I'm like, all right, this kid's built pretty good. I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the most fascinating battles throughout preseason camp, as we've talked about. With Charlie Offord, first off, the mustache is looking magnificent as always. Yeah. We don't expect him to be the starting back in 2024, right? I think that's pretty safe assumption, but the longer he's working with that first team offense, it signals that he's actually going to have a pretty big role on this offense, maybe more so than some folks, even us included, might think.
Yeah, and I do gotta say, we talk about the mustache a lot. The flow is pretty good too. I mean, he's got some pretty good, especially coming out of practice. You've had a helmet on for a couple hours. For your hair to look that good is pretty impressive. But I will say this with Charlie, I could see him as the starter, but maybe not the lead back, if that makes sense. I could see him being the guy that takes those first snaps and runs out there the first series. But I don't know if I necessarily see him as the guy that's going to lead this team in carries. I think he will have a role. I agree with you. And Coach Prime said at media day in Las Vegas, he goes, "You guys downplay him because he said that walk-on tag." And that was one of those times I was like, yeah, I have. I really have, because of the walk-on, because you just don't see walk-ons get those opportunities. Well, he's not a walk-on anymore. And so, it's cool to see Charlie Offord earn what he's been getting, because he's earned everything, and so it'd be kind of cool to see him. And if he's getting out there and having success, that'd be great. I don't really care who it is. You just want to see somebody out there having success. And Charlie, he says it's night and day how good he is compared to 2 years ago when he ran a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's going to come down to production, and whoever produces at that running back position is going to become a fan favorite, and rightfully so. I just don't know how to put odds on it at this point, because even Isaiah Augustave had a nice run early during camp, and we love Michael Welch and kind of his dog mentality out there. Who would you go with as the starting running back right now, or is it too close to call?
I would say the same thing. It's too close to call, but if I had to project, I would probably say Dallin Hayden leads this team in rushing, as long as everybody's healthy. That's probably, I don't even know if the starting running back is the right question. It was who's going to lead them. Right. But I think Dallin Hayden, I'm going to project right now, he's the leading rusher on this team. And I don't know if it's going to be 1,000 yards. And, I think Chico and I were talking about this when we did a video last night, but we were both in agreement. I'd rather see three guys get 500 yards than one get 1,500. And so I could see a Dallin Hayden maybe get 600 yards, and then Isaiah Augustave has 450, and Charlie's got 350 or whatever it is. And so, but I think Dallin Hayden's probably that leading rusher. What do you think?
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious to go back home, because we get presented players that usually have stood out during practice. Yeah. You go back and see Preston Hodge. Heston Page, that's an old name.
From the past?
Preston Hodge with the pick six. Yeah. And so, that's why he got picked to talk to the media today. Yeah. So I want to go home and see what Dale and Hayden did in practice today. Yeah. But I think that's probably who I would lean towards as well at this point. Just the body of work, and I think he's a guy that can wear down defenses over the course of a game, but also kind of provides that home run threat from time to time. The question with him coming out of Ohio State, though, was pass protection. Right. And so that's the part of his game that's got to show for him to be that guy that's going to lead this team in rushing this year.
Yeah, and Coach Fleece said that the other day. He said, look, these guys have got to protect the quarterback. If we look back and you just let our best asset, on the ground, that's a problem. And so, he's got to pass protect. Charlie's got to pass protect. Whoever it is has got to do it. Micah Welch is another one that I'm excited about. I think that he's got – I wouldn't put it past him to lead this team in rushing either. It's such an unknown group. You look around the Big 12, there's so many stars at running back. Then you look at Colorado, it's like, who? It's an unknown group right now. So we just don't know. Yeah.
All right, still the early days of preseason camp. No media availability over the weekend. We'll be back with more analysis on Monday.